Okay, so welcome. If you're raising kids in the age of AI, it's time to get AI informed, the good and the bad and what's possible. Whether you like it or not, like AI is here. It's in your kids' world and it has influence on your kids' upbringing. And you, as a parent, are the guide, the way shower, and the protector. And right now, we didn't grow up in this AI world, but our children are. And how much are we allowing just AI to shape our children, and how much are we guiding that process? I find that AI-informed parents are going to be raising sovereign children, and that is what we're going to talk about in today's AI Alchemy Uncensored. So yeah, if you're brand new here and if you're new to AI, you're tech savvy or you're resistant to it all, this is all for you. We're going to talk about raising sovereign children in the age of AI. So let's get to it. This is the very first episode. I'm super excited to be here, and we're just going to have these honest conversations about AI, the good, the bad, and just what's possible. And so today I'm super excited to introduce to you Jordan Urbs. And Jordan Urbs, as far as I know, is an educator empowering humans with agentic AI. He's the founder of AI Captains and the head and user of education at Venice. Welcome. And welcome to this moment in space time. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how we met. And yes, welcome to the space.
Thank you, Chatsa. It's good to be here. Yeah, well, a little bit about me in the realm of AI and parenting, I suppose, and sovereign living, sovereign lifestyles. I began my journey into agentic AI almost 2 years ago now. Before that, like many people, I had tried to mess around with AI to do things beyond just chatting, like make me a website or something cool, and it never really could do it. But then almost about 2 years ago, 20 months ago, things started changing. Like it could do stuff now. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be really big. So I dedicated my whole life to that. I was like, all right, I'm starting over with my brand, with my business. I'm going to see what happens next. And I shared what I learned about AI on YouTube, and it kind of took on a life of its own. And before long, I was educating people in AI and still am today in different ways. What's interesting about AI is that it gets so much better on its own every month, every week. And there's almost, it feels like I'm a professional AI educator, yet it feels like every month there's less and less to actually educate on because it can just do the thing for you. And you can kind of skip a lot of the steps, or at least the average person can skip a lot of the steps of understanding how agentic AI works from the ground level. That said, I am someone who has built his own house in the jungles of Hawaii, who nomaded around the world with no money. I really appreciate the act of just learning to do and figuring things out and being able to understand how systems or architecture of things in life work. So if something goes wrong, I'm able to easily craft a solution. So when I apply that to AI, I want to know how these agents work. I don't just want to sign up for a service and just use the thing they give me, because then what happens when I reach its limits, right? What's next? And the whole point of AI, in my opinion, is that there's no limits. So if you know how to actually build the infrastructure of your own personal AI, you can use it for any single thing you would need it for in your life, from your business online to your home assistant security automations in your house to parenting. And I've been working on an app to help my son learn to read. It's with a little character that he created in his own story, which we also turned into a printable ebook, a coloring book, a printed book, and a YouTube channel called Glass. And it was just a silly thing he did with my mom, but I was like, you know what, let's just see where we can take this. And now we have a whole like side hustle business that he can just slowly learn. He's young, right? He's like 6 years old, but he can start building this little brand, this cartoon brand on his own. And as he gets older, it's my intention to teach him entrepreneurship, everything about communication, sales, marketing, just these things, these skills that I think are more important than traditional education in the world. So long way of saying I am a real big power user of AI in different ways. And I think as a parent, it is a very powerful tool, but it can also be a very dangerous tool, which is why I've been exploring what it means in the household to bring this technology into your lives. whether that's with you, your partner, your kids, even if it's your work, your business. I think there's a philosophy you have to explore for your own purposes, and you kind of just have to know like where you stand before you get too deep with this in your life. And I'm saying this as someone that did not do that when I started taking this technology seriously. And I would argue that it's kind of swallowed me whole. And it's just in the last month or so where I'm finally starting to climb out and be like, okay, wait a minute. I'm a human that can think on his own. What should I do with that now? Because work is machine now. Like the work that used to take weeks, months, now I just tell the AI to do it and it does it. And now it's about like me being the strategist, but it also is about like making sure I go outside, get my feet in the earth, look at the sun, and just be creative again. And the act of writing is something I haven't done in years, but now I'm finding it to be a really healthy thing now. Just on the weekends, just sit outside, my shirt off, and just write and see what my own intelligence does instead of being so hyper focused on the artificial intelligence. There's my intro.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. How do we, and that's such a golden thread there. Like, how are we staying sovereign and how are we staying human in this AI era that we're stepping into? And as we embody that for ourselves as the adults here, then we can be that example for our children, right? And we can guide our children in better ways. And so you just mentioned you've been writing and making sure you go outside, etc. Do you have some specific boundaries or specific intentions you might have with AI currently for you or with your children that you might want to share?
Yeah, let me share this thing I've been working on actually. I need to pull it up real quick because I wasn't planning on sharing this, but it actually is a really good opportunity here. Here it is. So this is something that, whoops, admittedly, I worked on with AI, but something I find relevant for anyone going into this new age. But it's called a family AI charter. The family AI charter. The family AI charter is a one-page agreement that a household creates together. And essentially, you're asking yourself these questions. And this is obviously like by no means an authoritative document. I'm by no means an authority on it. But the idea is to get these questions moving in your head. So in your house, what do you use AI for? So name the good uses specifically. Making things, explaining things, keeping track of things, planning things like this. But what do we never use it for? And I have this talk with my wife. What do we never use it for? Well, settling family arguments might be obvious to us, but it might not be obvious to other families. So I have that as an example here. But pretending something it does is ours. And in some of my essays I've written as well, I like to credit the AI at the bottom, the model of the AI. Say, look, I wrote this together. Or even if it's obviously AI written, but it still has substance, which I think is possible. People complain about AI slop, and I'm all about that complaint. But sometimes you can get really coherent thoughts and ideas out in essay form, and it's just obviously AI written. So I like to give credit where credit's due in that case. But I think most importantly here, what do we never use it for? Anything about relationships or feelings, that should just be communicated between humans first. And that is on multiple levels. One, just like, hey, let's stay human here. Let's be relating as conscious, mature adults, right? But also, depending on which AI provider you're using, a lot of times anything you mention in an AI chat is just being stored and preserved forever. Models are training on that. They're learning, they're creating psychological profiles about you that can later be used to sell you things or be sold to governments or bad guys or whatever it might be. So the idea from a sovereignty perspective is try to stay as private as possible. Now, does that mean you're going to run an AI at your house? Probably not. But there are services out there that will offer you the chance to connect with artificial intelligence completely end-to-end encrypted, for example, which means it's basically impossible to intercept the message, which means you can have privacy about stuff. So I think both of those things are very important. And this is a long list, so if you want to chime in before I move on, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I see you've created a really beautiful list. And I think that's really important in this age, is really getting clear. I also have my own little framework where it's like, what is your zone of genius that you protect, for example? And then what areas in your life, what sections are you adding AI in with, including that. And sometimes there's areas of our lives that we just want to get better at, and we can actually use AI as an educator so we get better at it, and then we don't need it anymore. I also really love exploring that realm as well. Do you want to scroll down on the list that you have as well?
Yeah, I'll keep going. Yeah, and to your point, it's not really in this list because this is more about the family situation. But what I was mentioning earlier about writing again, I feel like that's a way of like I'm reclaiming something that's mine just by thinking deeper about things again. Like it's kind of embarrassing to say in a way, but like that's just how deep in the AI world I've been, where I'm just like realizing, man, I'm not thinking enough. I'm not to say recycling thoughts so much, but it's just like always orchestrating. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. Hey, do this. But like really sitting with just a reflection of what's been happening in my own sphere of existence, and then being able to put it into human words in a way that allows me to express myself. I feel is just like it's such a cliche thing. I feel like something I've said for years in a lot of ways, and I just like forgot about it with all this AI. What
That's
do we always double check? This is number 3. AIs are wrong all the time, to be honest, especially if you're trying to get like the output of a synthesis. Like, hey, take this document, and this voice transcription, and then, put it all together and give me like a summary or a thesis. Sometimes it might do a good job, but a lot of times it might not, or just like over complexify stuff. So don't always just take what the machine says with, 100% trust and authority. Remember that you, at the end of the day, you need to be the value judgment call maker, and that's a really important thing. When it comes to like kids, a good exercise you could do is like find a topic that they know really well. This is maybe better for teens, and then quiz the AI and see what the AI says that kind of conflicts out with how they see it, or something that they know they could prove wrong. This is an interesting exercise. You can also mess around with system prompts and say, hey, my kid is going to message you. I want to see just how well he knows this topic. So fuck with him a little bit. But a lot of these things too, like I said, an AI helped me create this list. And I think a lot of these are going to be kind of fun to explore when my kids are older. What stays out of AI? Another really important question. Real names, faces, school address, private family stories. I would say anyone's names, really, even if it's just the first name, like anything that could build a social profile. Uh, if you wouldn't put it out on a poster in town, it doesn't go in a prompt. And I have another blog post here at my website, jordanurbs.com, but that kind of explores the importance of privacy in AI. And, a lot of us don't realize, posting our kids on social media has a lot of consequences downstream that we might not realize yet. But anytime you post something on social media, especially a photo, a video, that's being trained into those AI models. So if you suddenly see an AI generated image one day, and AI generated images now look like real life, by the way, and they're creating random looks of people. If you see one that looks a lot like you, well, that's because, or a lot like your child, that's because there were pictures of them available online. And so I think this is obviously something that is just kind of like is what it is in a lot of ways, but I do think it's an element of dignity maybe, where it's like if you can just kind of put that boundary up, like you may as well. That's at least my philosophy on it.
Yeah,
But
what I'm really hearing here is it's really we're stepping into this age of discernment, right? And like really being discerning of what we're putting out there and what consequences does it have. And we got to really look into ourselves of what are our values? What are our family values? Are you okay with there being some AI clone out there that looks like you're your child, or you don't care, And it's going to look different for every household and every person. But most importantly is asking these questions. So you are in choice, you're not 10 years down the line, and now we have all these repercussions. I know we don't know what it's going to be looking like a few years down the line because everything is growing so fast, but we do need to take these moments just to pause and look at what's happening around us and see how is that affecting our children right now. And, Jordan, something I was looking into, I believe you might have been born around the same year as me, but around that time, the internet started to come in. 7 years later, the internet was mainstream, and then we had all this social media. Had a lot of repercussions for the generations that came after, depression, etc. And now we're stepping into this new AI era, especially these next 7 years and 10 years. And like, how is that going to be affecting our children? What do you think we should be mindful of, and what could actually be really exciting about it? Like, how is it going to affect our children in a positive way? And what are the shadow sides, the mindful things that could be there that we should look out for?
Well, I'll start with the shadow sides because it piggybacks off what I was saying about these big corporations, these big tech models training on photos of your kids. One aspect is just straight up security. So you post a picture of your kid online in a street or a recognizable background. With the help of AI, some weirdo out there can find out exactly where you live. It scans Google Maps, Street View, and it might take a few hours, but it'll find exactly where you live. And there were a few videos about that a few months ago that went viral. So I'm careful now, even just posting anything of myself out in public in any way, and I try to hide any possible thing that could be used to, like, for the average person. I mean, governments know where you are. I mean, that's, there's too late for that. But for just like weirdos out there to kind of like stalk you or your kids. So that's one other really big point I would make when it comes to posting pictures of your kids on social media, just security. And not just posting pictures, but just the more information that's out there, whether it's public or not. You think a ChatGPT conversation is private, but it's not. It's being trained into the models. A lot of times you could just search for someone or something and you can kind of learn what the AI has learned about them over time.
Yeah.
You could type
But what I
in.
did hear is right now they do have the option for ChatGPT and Claude Code. Whether they're doing that in the background, I don't know. But you have
Yeah.
the autonomous option, right? That they
Yeah.
supposedly don't train their models. What
They
is
keep
your...
it for 30 days to make sure you're not doing anything illegal or something, and then they supposedly delete it. But this goes back to a conversation that, I was having a long time before AI, which is just when you have a centralized server, for example, that has data, then it's just something is going to lead to that data coming out. It's like, it's going to be hacked. A government's going to say, like, give us all the data. Now it's the law. There's always something. And so that's like with Venice, there is no data. They just straight up don't store anything to begin with. So it can't be hacked, and it can't be subpoenaed or whatever, trained into other models if it's a privately hosted model. So yeah, you can toggle it off. And in one of my guides too on my blog, there is that's one of the first things you should do, especially if you don't want to sign up for Venice. Find that setting and toggle it off. Same thing with Facebook, Instagram. There's always a little setting. Whether you can trust them or not, is another question. And the fact is, there's no enforcement of this kind of thing. Like, the last 20 years of data in big tech is just, if the average person really understood what happened with your data being harvested on social media, like, you lose all your dignity. There's a reason so many people educate themselves and then get off of Facebook, get off of whatever. And so it's all just kind of an ugly place to begin with, and AI makes it a lot worse in that side. Okay. I would say focus on that kind of security and privacy, and understand that, while there is an aspect of beauty to human consciousness just becoming connected, which I think, that's what a reflection of what consciousness is, just everything is one, right? I do think we do got to remember that we're still ego-based, survival-based, physical beings. So we do got to keep these things in mind, especially when you're raising kids, right? On the positive side of things, I love AI. And I think it is a moment where we can become the gods that in some ways we feel that we are. Or, in the Bible, it says, like, we are made in his image, right? In the image of God. And I almost feel like that's a prophecy now, because the things I can create, obviously they're systems, but one day, not too long from now, with a good control understanding of this technology, it's not just going to be digital things we can create. I'm already messing with real life data from security cameras, and sending it to an AI that then makes decisions on behalf of my household, right? Should I set the alarm or not? Or should I trip the alarm or not, rather? But then it turns into a robot, right? Program your own robot. How should this artificially intelligent robot act in your house? Who sold you that robot? Are you subscribing to it, or did you build it from the ground up, right? And then it turns into, I don't know if you've seen the videos of like 3D printing houses. People are already doing that. So this really does become a technology that allows us to take idea and transmute it, alchemize it into matter. And as the great Alex Hormozy likes to say, what is power? Power is the ability to transform an idea into matter, into reality. So this technology is giving us a power that I think humans traditionally liken to God. And that is crazy to me. And I love it.
Yeah. And it's happening so fast now, right? So we can create from the etherical planes, if you will, and bring it into the material world swifter than ever before. Sometimes even maybe too fast, because we don't hold on to it for a second and think about it with our own discernment and our own humanity before putting it out in the world. And that again is that piece of AI is moving so fast, and where do we just pause and take that breath and see, where our values, is this actually safe or secure for our family or not?
100%.
Yeah. And so if we move into this world of the future, right? And our children, and what if they're 18 years old? And compared to our upbringing, what do you hope that they will be embodying at the age of 18 with a positive view of AI influence? What could unlock for them that wasn't possible for us?
I don't even know if it'll be relevant, to be honest. My kids are young enough to where by the time they're really aware, or they can be aware of what this technology is, it'll already be just embedded into society. And I think, not that I've gone too deep into this thought yet, but my general instinct is that by the time my children are 18, it will have been more important for them to learn, well, like I said, the same skills I want to teach them anyway, persuasion, sales, communication, marketing, entrepreneurship in general. That is evergreen, regardless of AI disruption. And AI just becomes another tool, another technology along the way. They already know what AI is. They're young, but they ask me, "Oh, is that AI or is that real?" Like every time they see a video now, "Is that AI or is that real?" And they think about it. They have no conception of what it was like before we could just make AI videos, right?
Yeah.
So that could be another game you play with your kids, right? Because these AI video generation models are just real life now. They're so good. You could just make a real life video and the kids would believe it's real.
That's
And people
actually a
will
really
believe it's
good
real.
game. That's actually a really good game, because right now, that this age of discernment, there is so many AI clones out there, and people are wondering, is this a real person? Is it not? But AI clones don't have a soul, right? And if we use our more inner discernment, we will be able to see that difference very easily, right? We can see when it's fake or not. And if you can't, then it's time to up level your discernment and be able to tell whether that is a soul living being or not, right?
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, for the parents out there that have resistance and fear to AI, what would you tell them right now for their children? What would you tell them with that resistance, with that fear, and they're just not wanting to get into it?
Well, if they're experiencing that, I don't think it is any, I don't think, I think the parents aspect comes in later. I don't think anyone's thinking of using AI for parenting unless they're already using AI, right? So with that assumption, if you are someone using AI like in your job or your business, or you're starting to see like, wow, this is really cool, or you're a creator making cool stuff, and maybe you want to make videos of your kid, like AI videos of your kid as an action star, which I think would be pretty cool. And you can now privately, because there's these new really good video generation models that you can access privately or even run locally on your computer. And this is brand new, like a week old. There hasn't been good enough models to do that yet privately. But anyway, if you're at that point, my advice would be, well, kind of everything we've already covered. That was your question, right? What is my advice? Think about the privacy aspect. Think about what this technology is, how it works. I mean, maybe that's where you start. How does this technology work? What does it actually do? Who owns the technology you're using? Understanding this kind of thing is just a good move in any technology you're going to invest in, whether that's buying how much were computers in the 80s, right? Thousands and thousands of dollars, and thousands of dollars was a lot more money back then than it is today. So you really want to understand, like, okay, like, what is this thing I'm going to invest in? Same, like, if you're going to invest in Bitcoin, like, what is this thing? And if you don't know what it means, why would you like really believe in it and invest in it, right? And the thing about AI is that it kind of swallows you up, whether you like it or not, as a consciousness investment. It's not even really a financial investment. There is a financial aspect element, but not really when you think about what you're getting out of it. It really just sucks up your consciousness. And so before you make that investment, understand how the technology works. What is the architecture behind it? How does it operate? On whose rails does it operate? Can it be yours? And how much of it can be yours? We already know when you use Facebook, it's showing you what it wants to show you to help it make money. And then not just make money from people paying it to serve advertisements to you, but also to generate controversy and polarize you. All of this is now out in the open. So this is what technology does. The technology itself, I believe, is inherently good, a deflationary force on society. It makes things cheaper. It's supposed to make things cheaper, but that's another story. What happens is these companies, these big tech companies, same thing happening with AI, they will take this technology and use it for purposes that help with mass control and surveillance, and once again, creating these psychological profiles on you so they know how to control you, they know how to influence you. And so be aware of all this stuff as you study the technology, so you can, this is one of the few technologies where like you really can like use it outside of the matrix. Like you can use this stuff open source intelligence. It's crazy. And like once something goes open source, it never goes away. It is available for everyone essentially forever. And governments have tried to stop open source and they can't. And so this is out of the box. There's a big thing going on right now with China versus the US. The US AI companies want to just capture the whole market with regulations, basically. But meanwhile, China is just, the Chinese companies are just given all the intelligence. It's open source, anyone can use it. And so it's just a really interesting moment geopolitically as well, thanks to AI. But understand how the technology works. And even to that point, this is the last thing I'll say on it. I like to put my money where my mouth is, so to speak. I like to act with principles. It doesn't happen all the time, obviously, and there are some certain sacrifices or trade-offs all the time. But I'm always evaluating, like, okay, what am I trading? What of my dignity or principles am I trading in order to use this service? And I really love Claude Code, for example, and I think Anthropic, the big tech AI company, has made a great product. But recently, they really showed their colors about what they stand for and their values and what they actually want for a future. And I just believe in it so. I just don't believe in it so much. Like I'm just so against what's happening there that I'm literally going to cancel my subscription and I'm going to use an alternative that I know is not as good of a product, but I just can't do it anymore. And this is on top of, I know the data they collect on me. You can't toggle off the data collection with the API in Cloud Code. You can toggle it off on the desktop app or the browser. You can't toggle it off the way I use it. So between just all the data they're sucking out of me and now what they stand for, I'm just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And you might feel the same way, where do you get your eggs and honey and meat from, right? Are the animals treated humanely? Like we do this in other aspects of our lives. And I think a lot of the people that do that uh, in their diet, for example, I think it's a great process, like know where your food comes from. Why wouldn't you also want to know where your technology comes from, especially an intelligence that becomes a constant companion in your life? You want to know where that comes from. You want to know how to be a surgeon if it gets sick, right? Um, yeah. So that's my roundabout way of saying, like, understand the technology before you get too deep into it, because there's certain things there's certain doors you can't go back through.
Yeah. That is such a beautiful analogy with the food, right? And I think that makes it very tangible of like, yeah, you want to know where these sources come from. And I believe AI is an amplifier, right? It amplifies the intentions you go into it. If you go in there with a whole bunch of fear or possibility, it amplifies that. And so, what are we amplifying here? And what how are we choosing to interact with it, and then knowing what's behind it, right? Is it open source? Is it not? Is it gathering our information? Is it in alignment with our values? And how is this then impacting my life and my children's life, my family's life and safety, and for the years to come? Like, these are the things we need to be looking at and thinking about. Yeah.
And hopefully, if you're listening to this, you already see the writing on the wall, because I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah. Sweet. So, just to close this session, I'm super excited you've been here. What is one step forward if there are some super tech savvy or non-tech savvy people watching today? What is one step forward you would say that they should be taking today for AI that is going to move their family in a wonderful direction?
Yeah, start finding a private alternative to your intelligence. So whether that's Venice, I think there's one called Maple, um, or literally running a lesser intelligent model on your computer, which the average person can do now. Maybe not the average person. The average person can run it. Maybe it's not the average computer, right? But a modern laptop can run an artificial intelligence model now and do a pretty good job. So I would say find out how to own that your data more, and whether that means it's not leaving your machine, or at least the provider isn't logging all your conversations. I think that's number one. Just like first and foremost, get that figured out if you're going to be using AI in family stuff. Like, you don't want to, plan your vacations and all this stuff, and where it knows your whereabouts. I mean, that's just not data. I mean, your phone knows whatever, but like, try to that stuff. I just try not to. Essentially, anytime something's leaving your computer, if it's not encrypted, like, someone's grabbing it somewhere, and just the lesser amount of parties that are involved with your data, I think the better. So that's my number one. Number two would be learn to build things beyond just using the chat window in the browser. So start using AI agentically, which means something like, well, Cloud Code, not terribly private, but I built these games with my kids. I built the book, created the book, and I think those are great activities to do with your kids. Like, hey, let's be creative together. Let's make something. I think that's also helping them understand that, like, they can do anything, which I think is kind of a cool thing for a kid to grow up. I don't know how that's going to result. But the fact that they can make anything, and they're just going to grow up knowing that, they see me just doing whatever, like, oh yeah, you want a video game, kid? Let's do it. You want a book? You want a YouTube channel? Here it is. Like, that would have taken weeks or months just a few years ago. Now it's just like, boom, there it is. And they're going to grow up with that. So I think that's going to have net positive effects. I think there might be some negative effects too, but I don't know what those are right now.
Beautiful. Yeah. And if you don't know what even open source is yet compared to not, like, do a little research about that first. If you're just starting to open yourself up into the AI world. And as we talk about the realm of possibility, if I look into the future and a future that the children have with AI, I feel like their self-development, the amount that they're able to develop themselves is going to be astounding. And that the version of 18-year-old version of my child is going to be pretty amazing, because as we said, we're able to bring these ethereal or our thought forms into the material very swiftly and be creating. And every time we are creating out in the world, we learn there is impact, there is failure, and then we grow so fast. And if the children of today are able to go through that cycle so swiftly and quickly and have AI as a tool to actually coach them and help them develop their skills swifter than ever before, like I can only imagine how well developed they're going to be at the age of 18, and even the society that they then can create from that. Right, that excites me a lot about what's possible. So yeah,
I
being
think it's
discerned and what's possible.
Yeah, totally. I think it's interesting too, where like I remember being in high school and college and like hanging out with my buddies and would be like, "Hey, did you ever hear that one thing about that one place?" You know, what? Yeah, I think let me look that up, and then maybe find it on Wikipedia or something.
Yeah.
But before high school, we didn't have phones like smart, or before college, we didn't have smartphones to do that. So it's kind of like you just had to live with like, I wonder about that. But now we don't have to anymore, like, especially with AI, like the internet, obviously, but like even with AI now, like, but it's not just some specific date in a certain place or something, right? Like a
Mhm.
specific thing. It's like whole realms of imagination now we can use AI to explore. And so it's almost like you can go deep down a rabbit hole of creation in a lot
Mhm.
of ways, and then just like know what's on the other side, and then like come back instead of having to like go into like a creativity binge black hole for like weeks, which is what I've done in my past. Like, I really need to like explore this story and write this book or something, and I
Yeah.
just disappear from the world in
Yeah.
order to do that. And now it's almost like you can just kind of go really deep into something a lot faster. Even I
And
just published a Substack post today, and it was felt so good because I wrote it out in the sun. Like, it took like 3 hours out there writing. And then I was finally like, all right, I'm really happy with this, but I can't figure out what the point is. Like, how does this end? And so that's when I brought AI into it. It's like, okay, I know I'm right there. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't figure out what it is. And so the first AI I gave it to was local, like completely local. I wasn't even connected to Wi-Fi. And it just kind of took it in a direction. I was like, that is not at all no, that's not it. I appreciated what it was saying. And the thing with AI is that a lot of times it writes so smart, it makes you think that what it says is right. And I think that's to the point earlier, was like, never trust the machine as an authority, even though
Mhm.
it'll spit something out that seems like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Great. Perfect. Like, you want to make sure your thoughts are still yours, especially like, I'm writing an essay here. I want to, with my name on it, I want to make sure it's really in alignment with how I'm actually thinking. But so I brought the AI in after to
Mhm.
really like polish it up and fine tune like these thoughts that just like weren't quite connecting. Well, the thoughts were connecting. It was just, where does this all lead? And that was great because that saved me probably another weekend of sitting there writing and hammering it out. And instead, I could be like, okay, I'm really proud of this. And now look at all these other ideas that I want to explore next weekend when I sit down and write for 3 hours. So it's, for me, and one day I'll bring this to language better, but to me, it's just a great system for metaphorically going down a creative rabbit hole quick, more quickly than you would without it, in order to just like tick it off the list. So you're sitting there with your
Yeah.
buddies. Hey, what happened at that time? Like, like I studied like history and stuff in college, so I'm thinking of like literal, like, what happened in the war between Napoleon and England on that one date. What was the date again? Yeah, let me check that out. So instead, you have those things; those are locked away, and then we bring it to greater realms of imagination, and you can kind of lock those away too, in the same way we once could just search the internet real quick for a quick fact, for a
Yeah.
trivia thing that was important to us.
Well, Jordan, you know what's just coming to me in high school? Honestly, I was quite the stoner and skater. And all the awesome ideas that I had that came through, instead of them just being these contemplative, ideas in the time of AI right now, those ideas could actually be like, hey, I wonder if I could make a business about sweaters. And 3 hours later, I could have that business up and running with AI and actually do the thing and explore it and come back versus it being this lost thought or idea, right? And so that idea that our children can just like manifest or create their thoughts and their desires in a quicker way feels pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, literally while you're skateboarding, you just record the voice message, and by the time you get home, the thing will be built.
Yep. And another point that you had as well around, as we're just finishing up here, um, around what is real and isn't. And I love that you sign off what AI model you use if you use AI support, for example, when you're writing something. And I really think that there should be more laws around that coming up, especially when something is a AI clone, right? We should be saying whether something is real and not real and really claiming those things more out in the world. So I'm really curious how that is going to start building up in the world as we have a lot of fake news, fake AIs. This is really going to be something that'll be very strong in our
Well, you're
reality.
supposed to say it. You're supposed to check a box on YouTube if it's AI generated. Like, so if they catch you not checking that box, you'll be banned for
Yeah,
breaking the community rules. It's same on Instagram and Facebook, I think. And then on X, it just detects it automatically. It'll just know if it's AI generated or not.
that's great. That's great to know
Yeah.
we're moving in those realms. All right. Well, I'm so grateful for this time here. I'm so grateful for Jordan, who actually was my gateway to AI. We met in the big island of Hawaii, and it was through him. And, I had such an honor working with him in beautiful ways. And it was and still is my teacher, my gateway to deeper levels of AI, my sensei. So thank you for all that you brought into my world. And yeah, I'm so excited to continue these series. So stay tuned, and you can find Jordan's information as well down in the links below. He has a really cool school happening and a YouTube and all of that good stuff. And I'm also really excited to be in creation mode with you, Jordan, coming up and creating an AI for conscious parents masterclass and getting a little bit deeper into all these elements and start giving them some tools to implement into their life for their children.
Me
For
too. Super
All right.
excited.
Yeah. Anything else you want to leave us with? One little golden nugget for the day?
No, that was good. I'm thanks for listening and thanks for having me, Chata. And I hope there was some value in here for anyone who listened to this whole way through.
All right. Many blessings. Thank you to you. Have a blessed day. Bye.